Hello everyone and welcome to another game of World of Warships. I'm back from Gamescom and today we are taking a look at the Monarch, an upcoming Tier 8 British tech tree battleship. But before we get into this battle, just some small announcements. I've decided to start streaming maybe once a week. So probably first day. I won't have a schedule yet. I'm not sure if I will settle for a schedule right now, but expect me to probably stream maybe once a week. Because I've streamed last week a little bit and I found it quite enjoyable, so I'll try to fit that in somewhere. In other news, I have made a Discord channel. There will be a link to it in the video description if you want to join that. I might hang out there at times if you wanna have some comments, chat, or whatever. So, we are here in the Monarch and there is an airstrike incoming, although not for me. I'm focusing down these planes, you can't see it because it's a replay, but we already see the anti-air of the Monarch is quite alright, although it's only a tier 6 carrier. Now, maybe we should take a look at the match as a whole. It's a Tier 8 battle. I'm top tier, which is quite nice. There is only one destroyer and the carrier's tier 6, so that's awesome. Now the Monarch's anti-air is good, but it's mostly the mid-range anti-air, so more for a self-defense purpose, I suppose. The mid-range anti-air is 3.5 kilometers, or you can increase that. Now I've advanced firing training on the captain right now. So it's 4.2 kilometers, I believe. So yeah, decent anti-air. The ship also has quite nice concealment. With concealment expert and camo, you get it down to 10.9 kilometers, and that's awesome concealment for a battleship. And well, with the concealment module as well. So you can be quite sneaky, and concealment is a good defense because you can silence your guns and drop back into stealth. Because engagements are often at longer range than 10.9 at tier 8. So it's a good way to escape a battle if you get in over your head or to reposition. Because sometimes you are in awkward situations where otherwise you would have to show broadside. Now, this battle as a whole, I've decided here to go towards the, well, let's say left flank. And it looks like the enemies are committing to the right flank. So at this point we can either push very hard towards their cap or we can turn around and defend. We have some defenders, they have some defenders, but they have pushed already a lot further than we did. And my team is more likely going towards the zone wall than towards the enemy cap. So I think charging the enemy camp is pretty doomed. So I'll turn around here and support our defenders. I mean, there are quite some defenders here and we should be able to stop them, and hopefully our team here uses this time to be a bit more aggressive and pressures those ships in the enemy cap. Because if I return now here towards my fleet, this means practically every ship in the enemy team has shots at me. I hope they are otherwise engaged, but that's something to consider, and this is also where the good concealment comes into play. Now the guns, well, the Monarch has only 18.1 kilometer range, which can be quite limiting. Now you can use the spotting plane, the plane that gives you more range for a short amount of time. I'm not a big fan of it. I still prefer to have the fighter plane get some added anti-air, but with 18.1 kilometers I can see you wanna taking the range plane. Also keep in mind that the stock ship only has 16 point something kilometers range. Now thanks to the concealment you can get away with it, but it's a bit limiting. Now honestly 18.1 is usually enough because you really don't want to engage ships at such long ranges in the first place. But especially in tier 10 battles it can be a bit frustrating, so you just have to use your concealment in order to get into good positions and then retreat if it's too much. Now we have 4 enemy ships aiming at me. Now the battleships are mostly at the enemy cap. So the high tier battleships, they don't have shots at my broadside. Those ships here have shots at my broadside, but those are mostly cruisers. There is, I think, a Nelson in there, but the Nelson is he might be blocked by this island, probably not. But I'll have to live with showing my broadside to the Nelson, I suppose. I certainly won't show the broadsides to all those ships in the enemy cap, and I still wanna get here in a more defensive position. Now, the Monarch doesn't have the super heal yet that you get at tier 8, that you get at tier 9 and tier 10. So here at tier 8 you are stuck with a more regular heal, but that's quite alright. The heal might be a bit too strong anyway for the higher tier ships. Now here I'm just trying to get some nice broadside shots at cruisers. The guns have been performing adequately for me so far, and yeah, one less cruiser. So they are 381 millimeters, I believe. You have 9 of those. The high explosive, while you do have a nice fire chance, it's not as insane as for some other Royal Navy ships. I think your fire chance is like 35%. Also, as always, keep in mind those stats are from a test ship, and this line isn't finalized yet. Anything can change. So far, this ship, I think, has performed quite adequately. I think it's pretty much balanced. Now there is some fierce competition at tier 8. The other tier 8 battleships are all pretty great ships, but I think the Monarch could find its place here. It doesn't seem too strong, it doesn't seem too weak, so it's one of the ships that they got pretty right currently. So I was deciding to shoot the destroyer, but you know, Miyoko showing broadside and sailing lazily backwards, that's just too tasty to pass up. And that worked out quite nicely. Now, once this destroyer is taken care of, I could drop into concealment, which would make my life a little bit easier. I still have quite a few heals left though, and I should probably press the heal button. Now, this is a mistake. I should have already been healing here. Now let's hope I can get some nice hits at the Nelson. There is also the... and finally I'm healing. There's also the Atage as a possible choice, and the Chinevni is the most important target. At 9.2 kilometers I would have a decent chance of hitting her, I suppose. But my turrets just aren't pointing in that direction, so I'm trying to go for the broadside cruiser instead. Now I'm giving the Chinevni more attention. Once the Chinevni is dealt with, and hey, I got a Citadel on the Atago, I suppose, but now the Atago is once more into concealment. Now there is quite a nice force of us here in the north towards the zone wall. Now usually I'd say if you went towards the zone wall you did something wrong, but still those ships are still in a position to defend this cap, so I can't blame them right now. They went towards the island, the only place where they have cover, so this is probably a decent spot. The enemy is pushing towards us, and they are doing a great job. They are defending with me. And it's looking pretty good. We have a big ship advantage right now. Although, keep in mind, scores like this can also be a bit misleading. It doesn't tell you how much hit points our ships have or they have. And things can change rather rapidly, but right now it's looking pretty good. Our offensive force here might just start pushing the enemy at some point. And here I'm in concealment right now, and I'm at pretty low health and I'm burning. So what I do now is I wait till I have a heal ready and not fire until then, because honestly it's not worth it. I mean, this cruiser is showing me broadside, but I'm patient. Now the heal is ready and I fire my guns. The thing is, if I get taken out with like 3 heals still left, it would look pretty silly. It would also be pretty bad for me and my team, because I can be much more valuable if I just be a bit patient, heal back up, and then rejoin the fight. And somebody really put the hurt on this guy. So let's hope we can finish him off quickly. I mean, one less ship and less guns shooting at us. And unfortunately he survived, but maybe my team can correct that mistake. Now meanwhile our ships here, on the offensive flank, they are, I don't know why they are spreading out so much and why there is one ship this far left. They still have to face some T8 battleships, and it's possible that the enemy Bismarck here is retreating as well for whatever reason. Now our defenders here, we've all have taken some hits. So there is still some threat around here if this Bismarck here pushes. Well, we shall see how it turns out. And hey, there is the Nelson. And he is showing somewhat broadside. I was undetected, I'm just now detected, so the Nelson, well, I mean, he could have known I was there. It's not like I've just suddenly appeared. I've been in this area for a while now. But I wasn't detected, so maybe he forgot about me and pushed into a crossfire position, which is pretty good for my team. Now this cruiser is still floating. Let's try to correct that. And then I'll go for the Nelson. I could have gone for the Atago, but the Atago is... well, I couldn't have because the Atago is outside of my range. So yeah, the limited range here might be hindering in some moments. But, you know, let's just focus on the Nelson first. And we've lost quite a few ships by now. Also, our carrier is... well, I mean, he is keeping up with the push, but I'm not sure if he hasn't pushed a little bit too far. If he doesn't get spotted there, it's quite alright, but he is in a position where if they hunt him down, he might get into trouble. Although considering that I don't have destroyers and there are only battleships around here, he might be able to outrun those battleships if they're coming after him. Now I'm angled quite nicely against the Nelson, so I'm not that concerned. Best thing the Nelson could have done here was shoot high explosive, as his high explosive is pretty awesome. So right now we are in the lead, although it's a small one. If we could get this Atago down, it would be really helpful. Now we can't just leave here and push. The Atago might just sneak in here and take our base. And even if he doesn't manage to fully capture it, sitting inside our base would prevent us from accumulating points. And that could be problematic in the long run. So we can't just ignore this Atago. I've got one hit, but the Atago is still around. So we could try to hunt down the Atago, but the Atago has good concealment. It's unlikely that the Atago will let us catch him. So he might just be going here way towards the zone wall. What else are our options? We can push the enemy cap, but they have 3 battleships. They're 3 tier 8 battleships. So that might be rather unpleasant for us. And as I said, we really don't want to let the Atago alone here, because he could just sneak in and take the cap if we leave him. Let's hope that our Edinburgh can sink this Nelson. And I'm pointing my gun in this direction. I will help out with the Nelson. Now hopefully my shells aren't needed, but better to be safe. And they weren't needed. The Edinburgh managed it herself. Now that's good news. We are in the lead, point-wise, with one more ship. So right now we win by just waiting. Now let's speed this up because currently nothing interesting is happening. So maybe talk a bit more about the Monarch right now. The Monarch is, well, as I said, it's quite a balanced ship. She has her advantages, she has her weaknesses. And I wouldn't be surprised if she stays pretty much the way she currently is. But then again, I mean, maybe they have some other plans for her. And right now I'm still sticking around here, trying to take a look if the Atago is sneaking somewhere here. But I suppose the Atago has fled towards the corner right now. I really don't want to engage those 3 battleships if I don't have to. At least not on my own. If my team would back me up, it wouldn't be a problem. Right now I'm hoping that my team is realizing that we win in 2 minutes anyway, if we don't lose our ships. And we still have a carrier who is flying attack runs, so if our other ships don't engage, we run absolutely no risk. Now these Tirpitz would be out of my range anyway. But, well, with this counter and the Atago nowhere to be found, I can obviously go engage this Tirpitz a little bit, especially if the Edinburgh wants to engage anyway. Now, if the Edinburgh sinks, which is quite possible if he's charging a Tirpitz, then at least we now have a chance to sink the Tirpitz. With me, the Bismarck and the Edinburgh, we really should be able to take out the Tirpitz. And some nice torpedo hits by the Edinburgh. With that, the battle is pretty much over. Now the Edinburgh took a hit as well, but he survived. He's healing up. And right now there is nothing I think the enemy team can do, even if they manage to sink the Gneisenau or something. It's in 30 seconds we have won. Now let's take a look at the results. I managed to get 1665 base experience. This was not a spectacular battle, but it showed off a new British battleship, and I thought a lot of people might like to see that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Keep in mind the Monarch is a ship that's still in testing. None of the stats are final right now, but she does seem like a pretty balanced ship, so I wouldn't be surprised if she's released in a similar way that she is right now. So, hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.